The Pittsburgh Learning Model was designed through the lens of the 90-90-90 research by Doug Reeves, Professional Learning Communities, which was coined by Rick DeFore and Robert Aker, and RTI, or Response to Intervention, which is cited in the reauthorization of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and in California is named RTI Squared. The term 90-90-90 was coined by Doug Reeves and refers to schools that have been identified with 90% or more of the students were eligible for free and reduced lunch, 90% or more of the students were members of ethnic minority groups, and 90% or more of the students met the district or state academic standards in reading or another area. Schools that achieve this status have a laser-like focus on student achievement. Student work and achievement is evident in hallways, trophy cases, and the principal's office. The critical elements of the 90-90-90 research are as follows: a focus on academic achievement, clear curricular choices, frequent assessment of student progress and multiple opportunities for improvement, a focus on nonfiction writing, and collaborative scoring of student work. Professional learning communities are very reflective in the PLM, or the Pittsburgh Learning Model, as the 4 critical questions of a PLC are: what do we want all students to learn? How will we know when each student has mastered the essential learning? How will we respond when learning did not take place? And how do we respond when learning has already occurred? The basic premise of a PLC is that we, as educators, have to be committed to working collaboratively in ongoing processes of collective inquiry and action research in order to achieve better results for the students we serve. RTI, which stands for Response to Intervention, has emerged nationally as an effective strategy. If districts and sites are committed to helping all students learn at high levels, they must have a process in place to ensure every teacher is clear on the question, learn what, for every course, grade level, and unit of instruction. Over the course of the 2010-2011 school year, a process was put in place to answer the question of, learn what? The essential standards have been named for every grade and course in Pittsburgh Unified, as well as a common pacing for when those standards will be taught. This was a collaborative process between the district, the administrators, and teachers. This is represented by the first 2 yellow arrows on the Pittsburgh Learning Model. Equally important to determining the essential standards and establishing a common pacing is to design and collaborate the lesson delivery. Lesson designs need to include a direct instruction approach with an I do, we do, and you do structure, complemented with student engagement and checking for understanding. Essential elements of the lesson include differentiation and universal access. The second question in the Pittsburgh Learning Model asks, how will we know when each student has mastered the essential learnings? Let's take a look at the 2 yellow arrows directly above this question. The first arrow is broken down into 4 parts: develop common assessment and set SMART goal, lesson delivery, give common assessments, and data analysis. Remember, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. It's important to make a SMART goal on our learning targets as they establish clear benchmarks of progress and milestones on the improvement journey. It is equally important to develop or determine a common assessment to measure student proficiency. We have to know what we expect our students to do before we start our instruction. The remaining chunks of this arrow are the lesson delivery, the administration of the common assessments, and data analysis. The data analysis process is critical in this step of the Pittsburgh Learning Model. The analysis of the data has to produce the proficiency levels of our students on the specific essential learning. This process is critical for the correct placement of our students in the next 2 questions. This brings us to question 3. How will we respond when learning did not take place? It's critical to create a systematic response that ensures students receive additional time and support in a rational and equitable way. This response, or lack of, is where most PLCs break down and fail. It requires educators to use time differently and to assume new roles and responsibilities. What we know is that a systematic intervention plan is a necessary condition for high levels of learning. DeFore and Aker suggest using the SPEED intervention criteria to create a systematic intervention plan. The S stands for systematic. It has to be school-wide, independent of the individual teacher, and communicated in writing to everyone, staff, parents, and students. The P stands for practical. Plan is affordable within the school's available resources, sustainable, and replicable. The E is effective. The plan must be effective, available, and operational early enough in the school year to make a difference for students. An entrance and exit criteria would be needed. The second E is efficient. The plan should focus on agreed upon standards and the essential outcomes of the district's curriculum and target students' learning needs as determined by formative and summative assessments. The D stands for directive. The plan needs to be mandatory, not by invitation, and a part of the student's regular day. The fourth question, how do we respond when learning has already occurred, requires the same design and thoughtfulness of the previous question. Giving attention to students who are not learning does not and must not mean that educators overlook the importance of challenging and stretching all students. We as educators must be committed to helping all students learn at high levels.